Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It's fantastic you are here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video from Darryl Hall and John Oates, and through this song, Kiss on My List, we looked at the fact that sometimes people need time and space to be able to move on with their lives. So let's give people a bit of grace, particularly when they've suffered a loss. Well, we're going from there to one of the most influential artists in rock music history today. David Robert Jones was born in Brixton, London in 1947, and he is regarded as a chameleon of rock, a guy that just continually reinvented himself over his career. And of course, when I mention the word chameleon, the guy we think about is David Bowie. Now, between 1967 and 2016, until his untimely death, when he died of liver cancer, and the world really did feel that particular death, he sold around 140 million albums. There's been 27 studio albums, 21 live albums, 46 compilation albums, 28 video albums, 72 music videos, 128 singles, 4 soundtracks, 68 other album collaborations, 12 box sets. So the prolificness of David Bowie cannot be understated, that's for sure. In fact, you think about 1967 to 2016, that's just under 50 years in the music business. Now, this will be the first of a couple of videos I'm going to do on David Bowie, giving his significance in the world. Today, we're going to look a little bit generally at him, and then next time we'll go into a little bit more of his legacy and what he has meant to the world. So, a few incantations of David Bowie over the years. In 1968 to 1971, he was pretty much establishing himself in the music industry. He did have some albums released back then, but was very much trying to realise this, I'm just not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to establish my own persona. And certainly in those first 3 years, he was forming that. Then in 1972 to 74, we had the Ziggy Stardust days. This is when he was adopting the I suppose universal spaceman kind of image and singing such songs as Space Oddity and all of those sort of ones. Then from 1974 to 76, so he doesn't keep in a thing for long. He tends to change himself up a bit. 1974 to 76, he was living in the US and he was very much getting into the soul funk groove, very much enjoying the influences of his time in the US. 1976 to 79, he moved to Berlin, and in that particular era, he was more minimalistic. Is that word? I challenge you to say that one. Minimalistic. There we go. Got it. And so he was sort of experimenting more around, you know, what we can do to make the song stand out. What can we do to make, you know, what can we do to really just change things up a bit? Then 1980 to 1988, very much the pop period for most artists, and he very much went along with the new romantic pop image. Of course, one of the albums in the 1980s was Let's Dance. That was an iconic album for him. Around the same time that everybody else was releasing iconic albums, David Bowie brought out that one. And so very much pop around that time. And then between 1989 and 1991, he didn't want to be so prominent, so he was just in a band, very much just happy to be one of 4 guys at that point. Then 92 to 98, he went with more electronica with some of the stuff he was doing there, really pushing the bounds of the production and experimentation with his music. Of course, by this time, David Bowie can basically do what he likes. He has the respect of the industry. The industry knows he's always going to try something different. And so he could kind of just really, I suppose, make the most of the fact he had the influence he did. And then 1999, and we can pretty well say until 2016 here, he sort of, I suppose, went a bit more neoclassical, made a bit more use of a bit more different instruments than just rock. And so he was able to really just, I suppose a guy had been rocking and bopping and popping for as many years as this guy had. He thought, I'm just going to get a little bit more, I suppose, symphonic and orchestral with my work. And certainly between 2012 and 2016, I think it was very much just realising that he had actually contributed much and would just do performances from time to time. Now, the thing I love about David Bowie now is the fact that he could have been David Robert Jones. In fact, that will always be his name. But he decided at some point he would become David Bowie. For him, he needed to realise that his life needed to matter. He needed to find out what made him tick, and he explored that to the absolute nth degree. He wasn't scared to change his look. He wasn't scared to do other things, including television. He was in 37 film/TV appearances, and certainly when David Bowie died, fans just sort of went to the movie Labyrinth, where he played the Goblin King so well. Typical David Bowie style. In fact, one of his songs, which I'm featuring today, is his song Heroes. We can be heroes if only for one day. Why do we want to be heroes? We owe it to ourselves to see what we're made of. We owe it to ourselves to see what life can be. We owe it to ourselves to be brave and courageous and to try stuff that we don't normally try. And certainly when you are doing that with somebody else, as David Bowie's song, We Can Be Heroes, there's something good about doing life together and exploring this stuff together. And I think we need to really take a hat off to people who have really tried to be different. People have really tried to work out who they are, to adopt personas and characters at times to really just make the world an interesting place. Because if we're all the same, life gets a bit boring. We need the characters in this world, people such as David Bowie, who have brought this world to life a bit. He could have chosen just to be, a normal singer, but no, he had to push the envelope as he did, and the world has benefited from it. So I think the challenge of David Bowie today, a guy who has lived through the 70s, he lived through the 80s, lived through the 90s, lived through the 20s and into the 2010s, and reinventing himself the whole way through that almost 50 years of career, is that we need to be challenged ourselves to work out what we can do to truly capture the persona that is within all of us. Or as I said with the Dandy Warhols a little while back, the Bohemian in all of us. The world needs us to be ourselves. It doesn't need us to be like anybody else. It needs us to be ourselves. And the world has really, truly embraced David Bowie as one of its own. That is for sure. So I trust that will be an encouragement for you today as you look at these clips, and we do have a few today. May you get inspired by what the Bohemian or your particular niche in this world actually is. If you are feeling life's a bit mundane, it could be that you need to shake things up a bit. So first of all, we've got the song Ziggy Stardust. This is from his Ziggy Stardust days. This is from the album The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That's a very long album title. Not just Ziggy Stardust, but the Spiders from Mars. Yeah. Something quite nice about giving your band a bit of a name as well. That came off the 1972 album. And this is a live version going back to those days, and you'll get to see the look that he had back then. We've also got Revel. Came off the Diamond Dogs album of 1974. This is particularly rocky for David Bowie. He wasn't scared to try all sorts of music genres. I think it's tricky to put David Bowie into a music genre. He is a music genre. That's the legacy he has left us. This particular performance is pretty important as well because this came from the Live Aid concert from 1985. So there was 1.9 billion people watching this concert worldwide, either on televisions, and there were 60,000 people at Wembley Stadium that day. So it's great to see David Bowie singing Revel, one of his rock classics at Live Aid 1985. Now, I've mentioned the song Heroes. We have to have Heroes. This came off the 1977 album of the same name. Now, I thought, as opposed to going for the big flashy show, I've gone for something a little bit more intimate here. But it's got, the minute you hear that guitar doing the sustained thing that it does, you know exactly where this song is going. This is a song that people are absolutely hanging out to hear David Bowie sing. And so we have got a live version of that one. And what I thought also is chuck the official clip in there as well, because there's David Bowie in his typical artistic genius. Just the looks, the stares, the shadows, the whole thing just makes this clip such a compelling one to watch. David Bowie in his absolute element here. And Heroes is one of his classics, what can we say? And then in 1981, David Bowie decided to get together with Queen and to sing the iconic Under Pressure. Now, I have not seen a live version of where Freddie Mercury and David Bowie are singing this one together. By the way, this one was released as a single by David Bowie, but it was put on the Queen Hot Space album from 1981. So what I thought I'd do is I'd try and find a shot of David Bowie and at least some of the band members of Queen together. And sure enough, I could go to the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, and there David Bowie was able to sing Under Pressure with Annie Lennox. Now, Annie Lennox has got an incredible voice, and for her to be asked to do the Freddie Mercury part of this song just goes to show how respected she is in the industry. And in typical artistic style that she has herself, she brought Freddie's part to life, that is for sure. And so that was a tribute concert to Freddie Mercury after his death. And so that one's a live clip of Under Pressure. So all of the links to all of those songs are in the description below. Yes, there are a few because that is David Bowie. And I've tried to put it in a bit of an order of his progression as an artist over the years. Well, we're going to continue on with the David Bowie story. Next time we're going to talk a little bit more about his legacy. Next time we'll look at some more of his latest stuff. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.